Due to possible harmful extremist content, parental discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of the station, its affiliates, or advertisers. The use of the show is only allowed with the express written permission of the producer and the host. So get ready for 2 hours of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show starting right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. Wednesday, May 20, 2026. Summer is on us, baby. It is on us. Barry, are you psyched? You got your grills going? You got everything ready?
Today it was like 60s, and we were in another complete gray out. It's been that way for like 2 or 3 days straight. We haven't seen any blue skies or any sunshine. We'll probably be under Bill Gates' global dimming for most of the summer. Oh, I'd say all the summer, pretty much. We'll have a day or two a week where, they bless us with the blue skies and the sun.
Yeah, and they got this new tick, apparently, that Bill Gates is, potentially aligned with. He did some research in these areas and then bought stock in when it was, what's that company with the Beyond Burgers or whatever? Big investor in that. Now they got this tick that if it bites you, you can become allergic to meat.
Yeah. And
Joe Rogan was talking about this the other day, and apparently one of his good friends got it, got bit by it. Boom, guy can't eat meat. Watching this other video of this guy, on like TikTok or whatever, he's like, look at my face, man. I had a cheeseburger yesterday. Break out like this now.
Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff. Would we put it past them to intentionally create a genetically modified tick that can bite you, infect you, and make you allergic to meat and dairy products? Would we put it past them,
No, especially when they said, some of these globalists have said, and we can play that video as well, where they said we can genetically engineer humans so that they don't eat red meat because, they think this is a crime that we eat red meat, right? Because it's, cows fart and goodness gracious, man, they have a carbon footprint. Methane goes up into the air and we can't have that, man. That's just, it's going to be the end of the world if they fart. So they literally talk about this, and we can play that video. I mean, these are like from TED Talks and these globalist meetings, the very people that control everything. They controlled all of the shamdemic. The World Health Organization, the United Nations, the WEF, all of these globalist entities in tandem, they basically coordinated the whole shamdemic on a global level. Even America was subservient to the global lordship during the shamdemic. I mean, this is pretty well recorded.
Yeah, he was saying how, 6%, cows are, Bill Gates was saying cows are 6% of the methane gas that gets released every year. How easy that would be to get rid of by just everyone being a vegetarian. But I want to ask you, it's a slippery slope. Do we then go to the Serengeti and kill any, herbivore that lives out there, every elephant, every rhino, every hippo, every zebra, all of them? Just kill them all because they're farting as well? Or is it just U.S. farm animals that we consume? You see what I'm getting at here, Barry? Is it that slippery slope where it's never enough and suddenly we've got to kill every animal on the Serengeti because they all fart? Mm-hmm. Where does it end?
Well, I mean, they don't like anything natural, and farting's about as natural as you can get. I mean, humans do it, dogs do it, cats do it, cows do it. I mean, a lot of species do it, and it's actually quite natural. But as I've said before, and I'll reiterate again, these globalists are psychopaths, lunatics. They don't like anything organic or natural. They want to do away with it. They actually want to re-engineer cows so that they don't fart. Or sort of a short end solution would be, put a bag, and they're actually doing that, putting a bag on their butt and collecting the methane and then burying the methane. I mean, it's complete and total lunacy. And I don't think anybody with a intellect should take any of that seriously, but they know that the dumbed down masses are actually buying into, especially of the liberal persuasion, because they're kind of, a lot of them are low IQ.
Yeah, and I mean, I've heard stories about the West when there were buffalo herds as far as the eye could see, right? Buffaloes for an entire 3-4 days they would march past you, massive herds, and of course the white man killed them all off. Wasn't that like a giant success for global warming, that we killed off all the buffalo? What if all those buffalo were still running around the West and they outnumber cows 2-1? Would he be saying, hey, we got to kill all the buffalo? I don't know. I can't get back to this. Like, it's an animal. It's a life. It deserves to live. And, yeah, we're going to eat it one day, but in the meantime, it gets a decent life.
These people do not care about humanity. Same thing with the technocrats. I mean, you've got a lot of people warning the technocrats, experts in this kind of thing, and in the study of psychology and history and so forth. But I mean, the end game of AI and robots very well could be the end of humanity. And I think this is something that everybody understands where it's transpiring to, where this AI revolution is moving to. I mean, there's a lot of like academia and academics being discussed about this, because it's because they're moving forward so fast and they don't know what they're messing with. They don't even, because they admit time and time again, they go, hey, we are programming it, but it's kind of doing some things on its own. And once it starts programming itself and they're communicating with each other, the different AIs are communicating with each other. I mean, where does that go? Because then we're out of the equation at that point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were talking Sunday night about the AI models that were let loose in this room. They made a sandbox for them, like a Minecraft, think of it like a Minecraft, server. And they sent them loose, all these different agents from different companies, and watched what happened. And in most of them, it sort of like just all hell broke loose. The Grok ones, I think all 10 were dead in 4 days,
Yeah.
They're making up laws, breaking the laws, doing all kinds of stuff, just complete willy-nilly. And that's, folks, the future. If you're going to let AI run all these companies. I'm seeing, again, another 18,000 people laid off in the last couple of days to be replaced with AI. I think that was a big story today regarding Meta, getting rid of 18,000 people. And he announced to them a little while back that, AI was going to be watching your work and just seeing what you do all day and how you handle things on your computer, how you use your computer, so they could model off it. So you're basically, over the last couple of months, you've been training your AI robot to replace you.
Yeah.
But everything's fine. That's fine.
That's exactly right. That's what's happening. And they're using people in order to give jobs to, these non-living things. And,
Mm-hmm.
One of the things they're saying among the technocrats is they're saying, and even outside of that, they're saying that what's going to happen is we're going to have a new species. They're literally calling it a species. I think that's a little far-fetched and quite a stretch of the imagination. It's not a species. It's not living. It is copying. It's a facsimile of us, just, more knowledge, more information, and that kind of thing. But it's not a species. I mean, and that's sort of programming. Yes, programming us to get used to. Okay, let's go back even to the early robot movies.
Mm-hmm.
What was that one? I think it was, there was Short Circuit, then there was some other robot one, and I remember watching this maybe 15 years ago, and you guys will probably know the film that I'm talking about, where the robot said to the humans, it said, I am sentient, I am real, I am alive. That was the main, and dude, that is so much propaganda right there. So, it was kind of this cute little thing that they all got to like, and I could get that. You got a cute little AI robot, but at the end of the day, it's not real. You would never love it like you love a real dog. But that's what they're programming people to do, is to fall in love with this thing. And that's why you have women actually dating and marrying AI already. That's why you had that stupid movie with Joaquin Phoenix called She, where he dated the AI, right? And then and like that was programming as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's shocking to see that stuff happen, that people are actually getting married to AI avatars, You got to be kidding me, folks. You got to be kidding me. But, you know, I mean, remember when pet rocks were a thing? I think people were marrying their pet rocks back then, you know. Society's got weirdos in it, for sure. And they always make headlines, and we love to make fun of them.
There's just more weirdos now than before. You got to admit that much, at least.
Yeah, I think, you know, and they, you know, back then would have said, hey, the weirdos are a lot more now than they were back in the 50s. You got to, you know, well, yeah, they put them on, you know, asylums back then.
Yeah, well, they were out of the way. They were, you know, tucked away nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, you crap your pants on, you know, on the sidewalk and sit there in them all day for a couple of days, and they're going to pick you up and say, okay, guess what? We've got a little room for you upstate. You're going to like it up there. You can finger paint every day. Today, they just, you know, there's no help.
They mobilize and they organize, and then they become this giant tribe. That's what happens, and that's why they're so scary and so powerful. It's not just like a random person. Oh, they go, oh, we got another crazy one. Come join our crazy group, and you can be a part of it. Maybe if you're crazy enough, you can be one of the leaders.
Maybe you can even run for office one day, dare I say.
That's what it feels like, dude. I'm just being completely honest, man. I mean, anybody that's just taking a real look at reality. I mean, I know a lot of people just sort of want to bury their head in the sand and just try to go on with life, but eventually it catches up with you. The crazy does. So you might as well acknowledge it, that it's real. Be aware of it. Try not to get pulled into it. And we should probably try to find healthy ways to push back against it.
Hey, when are you going to talk about Keir Starmer's a wanker?
Keir Starmer!
Yuck. You want the chant?
Yeah, do the chant.
All right, ready? Keir Starmer's a wanker. Oh, we had you on last week, and we predicted it would be a huge event. Barry, welcome back. Following Wednesday, it turned out huge. Unite the Kingdom in England was a massive, massive success by any measure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I can't find much criticism of it that is genuine. It's all just a bunch of hatred. They're haters hating people, and they hate people, and it's all hate. But I'll tell you, man, you had hundreds of thousands of people out there chanting Keir Starmer's a wanker, all in unison, carrying flags. Did you see the aerial photos of that thing?
Oh, yeah. It was wonderful, man. And, of course, the mainstream tried to make it like it's a small crowd of roughly 8,000 to 10,000 people. You know.
It went back a mile through the heart of London, like literally a mile, as far back as it could before it hit the river. You know what I mean? This thing was huge, and it was peaceful. It wasn't anything Keir Starmer said it would be. There were some controversial moments. Some 4 French women came out in hijabs and then took them off and gave a whole speech about how they'd never want to wear that and will never wear it, and they'll die before they wear the hijab, basically. Yada yada yada. A lot of stuff out there that you can tend to agree with. Yeah, France should be a French Christian country. It should not be an Islamic IRGC extension with Hamas as their military. That's just going to be a nightmare. No. It should be French. I want to get a croissant. I don't want whatever the heck falafel.
Mm. Yeah.
So
or at least some fish and chips.
Yeah. Well, it's France. I mean, the crepe. Say you love the crepe, or I'll break your arm. What, crepes, like them thin little pancakes? I like them. I do like them.
Give me
Licky booby.
Isn't quiche? Isn't that France, or is that somewhere else?
Quiche is French, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Good stuff.
I like quiche.
I've had some phenomenal quiches.
I've had some bodacious quiche before, man.
Absolutely.
Remember when they used to have brunches back in the day? Of course, they don't do that very much anymore. But, some of these places would have brunches, and they'd always have, like, omelets and quiche. It was, like, the best bacon, you name it, man. It was always so good.
Yeah. All you can eat.
All you can eat, dude. You don't have too many of those anymore. CC's is all you can eat, but you really don't want to eat too much of CC's. You know what I mean? It's just not that quality.
when I was in high school, I worked at a really good restaurant for a while, like a really good one. And we would do Sunday brunch, and I would work it quite often. And, you know, the best part was afterwards, like, they just gave us an hour to eat all we could. You know, whatever's left, just have it, like, finish it, you know. So, oh, yeah, it was deluxe, you know, lox, everything.
Yeah, where's that generosity, man? I want that to return to America, man. I want the buffet to return as well.
Yeah, well, you know, they've got them.
But not like they used to. Remember, there used to be Libby's and Old Country Buffet and Furr's Cafeteria. I mean, we had a bunch of cafeterias here in Oklahoma. I think I don't know of any now. I used to go to Furr's. It closed maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I was so disappointed when it closed because it was like the only place that was a buffet like that was left in the entire city of Tulsa, at least that I knew of. And I love that place, man. But they eventually, right before they closed, you used to be able to get steaks. And then they started saying, no, we don't do steaks anymore. And I was like,
I drove by a Pizza Hut about a week or two ago, and they had a sign outside for an all-you-can-eat buffet for like $10. I was like, what? Really? I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, Pizza Hut does that. Mazio still does it. And some of them do it like maybe once or twice a week, or they do a daily one, and then they have an evening one on Tuesday nights or Saturday nights as well. But it's not as frequent as it used to be, the buffet. I mean, even there's not even hardly any Chinese buffets anymore where I live. There's a few, but it's expensive, man. Like the one that I go to, it's $20 minimum. That's if you get water, and that's without the tip.
Yeah, and tax and all that other stuff. But,
yeah.
You know, it's funny. The more we talk about this, the more I realize how completely off topic we are. So, yeah, it looks like our boy Keir Starmer, who's Keir Starmer, and he's definitely not a wanker. Looks like he's out.
Here.
He's going to be out of there, man. He's going to be leaving. We're hearing it from his inner circle. They said it won't be like immediate, but it'll be soon. It's coming, which means he's probably going to delay it as long as he possibly can. But right now, the guy is disgraced. He's done. He had a few 100,000 people marching through the streets chanting that he's a wanker over and over and over for 4 hours. He lost his last election in the biggest political landslide I've ever seen from any country for as far as, you know, an established party, one of a two-tier, you know, two-party system where it just got destroyed, completely destroyed. They lost, 1,000 seats, 1,200 seats for it. It's some crazy number. They're done, man. Labour in the UK has no reputation left. It's got nothing to stand on. And it's just a matter of time before the same thing starts happening in Canada and, you know, in Australia. I'm seeing wind of that actually already occurring in Australia. So keep an eye out for that kind of stuff, folks. It's going to be expanding. The AfD in Germany is now the most popular party there. They're up in the high, you know, to mid 30s. And there also a report just came out that is saying how they are the absolute targets of the most violence of any party anywhere in Germany. Like, it's not even close. Mm-hmm. It's like 40% against them and 10% is against the liberal parties in the state. You know, it's not even close. All kinds of different horrific stories that keep coming out of there week after week after week. This guy's assaulted at a campaign rally. You know, this person ran off the road. This person was shot. You know, this death threats. Right. On and on and on. AfD is just an alternative for Deutschland, for Germany. To say, hey, man, we don't have to do what they're doing here. We could do what Poland's doing. You know, all we want to do is what Poland is doing. Right next to our neighbors. Go look at them. Go walk through Polish towns. You know, take a weekend. Go up there and spend a weekend in a couple different, you know, towns in Poland and walk around at night and you will be safe. It's secure. You won't have one worry in the world. Then come back to Germany and start walking around your cities and see what they look like. You know, see how fearful you are when you just travel one block off the main drag, you know, as a tourist would. And you find out it's just not even close. So there's all kinds of stuff happening out there, folks. There's hope. There's hope. There's hope. And if Keir Starmer, the wanker, can step down here sooner than later, then more power to him. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, don't ever underestimate the globalist wankers, as you say, because until the power pendulum shifts away from them, just get rid of Keir Starmer and put in someone worse, sort of like we saw with Boris Johnson. They just get rid of him and people go, oh, well, we got rid of him, it's going to be better. No, it's only going to get worse, because that's how they do it. They actually replace the person that everybody hates, that they can't stand. Then they bring in someone actually 10 times worse than him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I guarantee it. I mean, in the article I was just looking at here about Keir, they talk about the two people that are going to replace him, and they both sound far worse, far worse. So there's no relief. I'm not saying this is going to be good for England. I'm just saying it's good that another one of them has to fall down in disgrace. Sure. Nobody can seem to manage running England lately because they all insist on doing the worst possible things. And then you and I were talking last week about that laundry list of things the king said. King Chucky said he was going to implement. And it was a 20-minute speech of him just saying, yes, our board of directors will next do this, and the parliament will do this, and the House of Lords, we're going to do this. And it's just on and on and on. All the things they want to do. And he's the king. Nobody elected this guy. Who is he? He's the king. He's supposed to sit back and get wasted all afternoon on beefeater gin and, keep his mouth shut. Try not to tweet too much.
Yeah. Well, it's their will, not the will of the people, because he's a king after all, Our ministers will usher in the digital ID, will track and trace and surveil everyone and tell people how they need to interact with each other. I mean, these people, and they are psychotic beyond anything you could imagine. I don't know how they have a platform. I don't know. I mean, I hear people tell me all the time. This tells you how off people are. They actually think, I think King Charles is and the kingship in Europe is just a wonderful thing. And they tune in every year for the little parades that they do for the king. And I mean, it's just like idol worship and insanity and madness. And they ride around in their little gold carriage. It's probably worth more than, an entire neighborhood in my city. But why? That's the question. Why? And the media, always pumps up the UK and the kingship and the queen, and we're expected to marvel at them. And that's what I love him, because I think it's ridiculous, dude. I think that, he's so full of himself. Like I said last week, man, he is so full of himself. I mean, they are drunk on their own power, man.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that farts into a wine glass and actually sniffs it over the next 5 minutes, takes it in. He might.
But I would imagine his carbon footprint wouldn't be that.
Yeah, now see, there's this royalty thing. Okay, I guess you can have a king, fine, I get it. But limit it. The guy doesn't have to be all that pompous and everything, and he comes out and does, but you don't have to give him I think he's the largest landowner in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's shocking how much, land the royal family in England owns around the world. I mean, half of Canada, big chunks of Australia, on and on. And they don't need it. It shouldn't be in that position. If you want to have a royal fund or something in England, great, but don't put people in power into those positions. He can sit there and look pretty on the throne and, pretend like he's actually has some power or something. But no, he can't have any power. That's the way I would do it. I mean, zero power. None of the wealth. You don't really have the wealth. You can kind of live off it and write off it. And if you want to go out to eat, fine. But let's keep it to a minimum, right? You don't need 20 Rolls Royces.
It's a bloodline thing. You know what I mean? And I think it was King Charles's father that said, I forget his name, but he died a few years back. And he said that if he came back, he'd like to come back as an Ebola virus to reduce the population. So these are monsters, and they don't hide it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times they just come straight out. I mean, maybe they just think we're all going to bow down and worship them because they're illuminated, special, and they're kings and they're peasants.
A lot of people do. A lot of people, a scary number of people on this planet do. They worship them just because they're the king. And that's, what do they call them? The royal files or something, the people that really follow this stuff. And it all culminated with Princess Diana. But Yeah, there's people that really eat it up, and I just, I wish them all the best, man. The king should have no power. Just sit there on your throne and look pretty, and that's all you got to do. Anyway, let's go to break. This is the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. We'll be right back after these messages.
Great job, guys. Great job.
All right.
Alrighty then.
Alrighty then.
See, we don't have. We can go on. We can do side trails, and if we had 3 stories, we could do a 3-hour show.
Yeah, I don't know if we've covered like more than 1 or 2 stories yet.
Yeah.
Or at least of the articles I have up, I don't know if we hit 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
About Keir Starmer leaving office.
Keir Starmer! He's a wonderful man. He's a man of integrity, a man of nobility, a man of true character and leadership.
Oh, John, I sent you some stuff in Discord. I don't know if you got those or seen those yet. Take a look at
the
those.
GIFs, the AI pictures you made.
Yeah, for the I was planning on using some of those for intros, if that'd be fine with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I worked hard to try to get the eyes right, because I know the eyes are very special to you.
Well, the original one I made was very special to me. All of these other ones are just AI slop.
I just wanted to get something more in motion for you when we take and do like intros and that for the edited portion of the shows. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And make it look a little tighter. I did that for Nancy. Hers came out really, really good. She was real pleased with it. So
okay, cool.
I'll work on that probably next week. All right.
All right. Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to do anything until, I talked to you to see what you thought. If it looked okay to go along. No, the first portion will still be what you gave me originally. Okay.
Yeah, the original one's the best.
And then it'll slide into the other, and then what I plan to do is have it go right back to that before, for the intro on the edited portion of the that I put up for archiving. Okay, and that will only be, you only hear and see that when you take and do the, when the disclaimer's being played.
Copy that.
Yeah. We've got about a minute, and then we'll come back. Yeah. All this humidity here, and the air around me is a little heavy tonight. I don't know. It'll clear and clean up probably pretty soon when it blows through.
What, the weather outside?
Yeah. We've been getting rain off and on here last few days. It'll go down into the upper 60s at night, and then go all the way up into mid 80s to 90s during the day. 30 seconds, guys.
Copy, roger that. Copy.
Yep.
Check 1, 2.
And before I put that up too, I will also send that to you so that you can check it out. All right.
Sure.
Here's your countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're back live and on the radio side right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. Tonight we're featuring Barry Bullhorn on the mic. What's going on, Barry?
Not much, man. Just hanging out with you, of course. What else would I do on a Wednesday?
Yeah, well, you're featured this Wednesday. That's pretty cool.
I'm featured? Okay.
Yeah. Didn't I tell you about that before the show?
No. But hey, let's do it.
I seen it in the memo. It's all good.
Yeah, you weren't there at the weekly meeting. Anyway, we got a couple big surprises last night out of some primary races that were going on across the country. One of them was in Kentucky. Trump endorsed Ed Gillibrand, and that's against Thomas Massie. And he won. So the Trump endorsement took the win in Kentucky, as well as a few other places. But this is an interesting one because the dude put out a old endorsement of Trump from many years ago yesterday, the day of the election. He put it out, making it seem as though Trump had endorsed him. But he hadn't. He endorsed the other guy. And so he knowingly put out very, very false information to try to deceive voters into voting for him. What do you think of that?
Who did?
Thomas Massie. He's a sitting congressman for that district.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to deceive everybody. I think maybe he was trying to make the point that Trump had supported him in the past. But I don't like this other guy, Ed. He's pro-draft. He's pro-war. He's a war hawk. He sounds like a neocon to me. He scares the crap out of him. He doesn't even want to go through the proper protocol of he wants to draft immediately, but he doesn't want to have to go through the proper protocol because we need to do it now because it may be too late otherwise. In other words, he sees nothing but war in the near future. And he just sounds like another Bush neocon. I don't like the guy at all. I think Trump made a mistake. I'd rather see Massie in there. At least he fought for the Epstein files. And then I saw Trump saying he voted all these different ways, and I've yet to see that that's true. In fact, I've seen to the contrary of that. Now, sometimes he probably does vote, his conscience against Trump on a few things, but the things that Trump was saying, like he was against he was like for transgenderism. That's a flat out lie. I mean, I don't know what Trump's doing here, but Massie's a much better guy than this neocon dude. He scares the crap out of me, dude. He's going to be another Dan Crenshaw. Mark my words.
Interesting take on that. I don't know much about this new guy. So, and I know Gillibrand, you fight back against Trump and guess what, right? He's going to push back. And he's going to push back hard. And so that's, been a big thing for him through the years that you're either with him or you're dead to him. You know what I mean? And so this is kind of, I guess, one of those scenarios, right? I wonder what actually triggered this.
I mean, it's a good question. I don't like the idea that Trump makes it about himself. And, he didn't support me, he said. He didn't say anything about MAGA or We the People. He made it about himself, and I don't like that, man. I would vote for Trump a third time if he ran. I voted for him 3 times, okay? I like Trump. I'm just saying, I think he's off on this, man. He's not MAGA. We're MAGA, and he's supposed to be representing that. Now, how you cut that and how you slice that, obviously that seems to be split. You know what I'm saying? Within the MAGA movement. One side says we're the real MAGA, the other side says we're the real MAGA. And then I don't even know where I fit in then because I'm all over the place because I'm not following any tribe. I'm just following my conscience.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, good for you, Barry. That's the way to go. On a similar topic, I guess, we've got all this redistricting that's happening all across the country, and it's really fascinating to see how this plays out. The Democrats started this fight, and they're losing it horribly across the board. Different courts, state Supreme Courts, the U.S. Supreme Court, like every time, every ruling, it seems, comes down against the racial districting and all the different things that they're trying to get away with. In Virginia, they put something on the ballot that was highly illegal. It was against the Constitution. It was never going to fly. And the people voted for it, great. But what they voted for, it's like saying, I don't know, let's put slavery back on the ballot and it wins 51-49. Suddenly slavery is legal again. And then the Supreme Court says, no, you can't do that, right? You can't do that. It's like that. You put something on the ballot that's illegal and it's going to get shot down. And so that's kind of the point. Now, I was talking to Brett about this a couple weeks ago, and we said, hey, let's wait and see how this plays out. But these districts are being redrawn now. They're all taking it as if this, if they run with the old districts, the count will be illegal, and whatever, happens on election day won't matter. So we've got to redistrict now to get everything in place before the election so that we'll have a legal election that won't get overturned in court. And if you think about that, man, it's incredible, Barry. Just incredible.
Yeah.
To see, this could change, give Republicans a 10-house advantage or 10-seat advantage in the House.
Yeah, I tend to think midterms belong to us. I mean, I don't know that for certain. I'm not like super confident in saying, and I'm not going to say mark my words, that's going to happen. But I think we have the upper hand. I don't tend to follow the black-pilled woke right too much. They just think it's the end of the world, man. I mean, today Alex Jones made a new claim that Trump was Palpatine. Darth Sidious, Sith Lord from Star Wars.
Palpatine.
Yeah. Join me at the dark side of the Force. But,
yeah.
I don't think Trump is Palpatine. And I certainly don't agree with his little sidekick or one sidekick, Owen Schroyer, who thinks that Trump is the worst president ever. I mean, the worst president ever. Really? I mean, after all he's done, he's the worst president ever. Maybe you don't like a couple of things or a few things or maybe even a lot of things, but you can't deny the good that he's done. And it's way surpasses Biden. I would argue Biden might be the worst president ever because he didn't do anything. He wasn't even president, I don't think. I don't think he was running anything. Do you?
No. He was sitting back. He got his briefings every day, and they kept him as busy as you can keep a man in that condition, which is to say, 2-3 hours a day. They let him look at some stuff, see what's going on. But he wasn't involved in the major decisions. The auto pen took care of all that. They didn't need him. So why would they bother to explain things to him that would take way past his bedtime to even get past the first, chapter of? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas Trump seems to never sleep, and he'll just sit on those files all night until he figures it all out. Biden, he just needs a nap. Okay, come back in about 6 hours, guys. We'll go through this again. After dinner, he's got about a half hour of lucidness to him, so we'll just use that time to explain to him the intricacies of this foreign affairs, situation in Haiti or wherever. So he had an auto pen. He had a cabinet that just did everything. They sat down one day while he was probably sound asleep in the in the Oval Office or their cabinet room or whatever. He's at the head of the desk, sound asleep, snoring away. And they just said, okay, guys, look, we got to do something here. We're not going to do the 25th. Let's just get the job done. Let's just do amongst ourselves what we need to do to get things accomplished in this country. And Barack Obama will step in as the, sort of unofficial president, or Jill will, or whoever it was, Hunter Biden, who knows, but in the meantime, let's just do what we need to do. We don't really need to involve this old man in these decisions. And the auto pen proves it, man. Why wouldn't he sign any of this stuff on his own?
Well, I think you hit on something really important, though, man. And that may be exactly why he had that fake White House. Because that always baffled me. You know what I'm saying? But think about it. Because he didn't read the teleprompter very well either. Think about it. They had to prep him, make sure he was at his top just to read the teleprompter, because he didn't even know what he was saying when he was reading the teleprompter. I mean, he would say, end here, stop, say no more. And he'd repeat that. So he was just reading without any comprehension whatsoever. So they had that little White House, that fake White House, because then they could just flip on the lights, and whenever he's ready, they just, roll him in on the wheelchair and say, okay, go. You know what I'm saying? So
That was a weird thing. Like something about a lot of those shots just looked odd in the first part of his term. And then all of a sudden people started like pulling out the like behind the scenes stuff and like showing you what it, like it shocked me. Like this is actually a set. This isn't the White House at all. They're just working on a set that looked like it. Why?
Oh, yeah. Well, and then the Q people took that to the next level and said, hey, look, man, he's not the president. Trump's the president.
Yeah.
So I thought at first it was just a psyop to make people think that the Q stuff was real. But now that I think about it, I think they just did it because he was just so incoherent most of the time. They're like, oh, he's actually at a speaking level. Let's turn on the lights and let's roll him into the fake White House and let him do his teleprompter thing.
Yeah, and it might have been down at like Rehoboth Beach, built into his house somehow or, whatever, so that he could be on vacation all the time and still look like he was actually at the office. But it was very weird that they did that stuff. I remember covering that in detail at the time. Like, wow, have you guys seen this?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every now and then I'll think about, that 4-year period, and it's just, it's an uncomfortable feeling that I get, just because it was disturbing on so many different levels.
And it's, what you were talking about in the past and it's Yuri Brezhnev, it's to destroy our morale, folks. It's to tear us down. It's designed. They know we know it's not true. They know it. And they put it out anyway because it's designed to make you just give up, to make you just say, screw it, I'm done. Whatever these monsters want to do, forget it. I won't post anything mean on the internet anymore. Fine, whatever. I'll just shut up. I've got 30 more years of life left. I'll just get through it,
Oh, man. And just think about how they hammered us with one thing after another. I mean, the fake White House, the demoralization, the shamdemic, the constant lockdowns that went on for a couple of years in a lot of the leftist cities, wearing masks and socially distancing and, arresting people if they disobeyed. The vaccines that were causing so many different problems, at least that's what I believe, and most people believe now at this phase, all of the lawfare, all of the censorship. This is what demoralization is. It's attack. It's like a swarm of killer wasps coming at you. And all you want to do when that happens is just run and hide. But they didn't expect a good percentage of us to be so bold, to be so strong, and to fight back and to resist. And that's why we're at where we are now. It's because we said, no, you're not taking us down. We're Americans. We're patriots, man. And we're not going to go down that easy. We're not like these other countries that just bow and kneel before the reptilian overlords.
No, we are not. And I'll tell you, they're out there saying how we, the Republican side of the party wants to tear down America, and it's the end of voter rights. It's the end of this. It's the end of that. It's just, the worst thing possible that we're going to do, that this side of the aisle is going to do. And the other side is beautiful and sweet and will never, ever do anything, mean to anybody, right? That's what they say. They claim to be that way. Let's listen to Hakeem Jeffries right here. I got a clip from him at the Ideas Conference, a Center for American Progress. This guy, if the House flips over to Democrats, he's the Speaker of the House. Okay, this is not nobody. This is the next Speaker of the House if the Democrats took power tomorrow. This is what he had to say.
I guess part of how we as House Democrats view this moment, either MAGA extremists are going to break the country or we're going to break them. And our goal is to break them. We will defeat them. We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit because of the extremism that's being unleashed on the American people. That's completely and totally unacceptable.
Wow. There was a congresswoman and a lady running for it in Texas who said all Zionists need to be put in camps, close the ICE center and fill it with Zionists. Mm-mm. She's running like Houston or something. Folks, this guy is the next Speaker of the House potentially. He's got to break your spirit, break you down, not only pummel you electorally, but also break you. Donald Trump doesn't talk like that.
I'm hearing he might be running for president, man. Like he might be their guy because Kamala's not working. Gavin's not working. And you want to talk about the idiocracy. I mean, if he were to somehow win, we would be living literally in that film, that comedic film, Idiocracy. I mean, it would be, it'd be such a mockery of everything America is if he were to somehow, or I mean, even the Speaker of the House is bad enough, but imagine the presidency, this guy. Idiocracy, dude, 110% and over.
Well, he would be a straight up dictator. I mean, he's saying he's going to be a dictator. He's going to break your spirit. How do you do that, sir? You know, how do you plan to break my spirit, sir? I'm very curious. Put him up on the campaign trail and make him answer that. Of course, no debate. He's the one. He's calling for a full-on war, everywhere, all the time. War.
Yeah.
Right now.
I mean, he's as divisive as they come, is he not? I mean, he does. That's why even when Trump has ideas that would, float over to the Democrat side, they still reject it. You know what I'm saying? Because they literally have that much hatred for America and for Americans that they would literally want to see us tank, want to see us do bad. When Joe Biden was the president, I didn't want him to tank the country like he did. I was hoping he would do some good. I was hoping that he would actually be fair, but hey, that was wishful thinking.
It sure was, wasn't it?
For sure.
I thought he would, potentially, hey, he might not be that bad. I thought, obviously everything he stands for, it's garbage, right? But hey, maybe he won't get that much done.
Well,
and honestly, he didn't.
Well, he kept saying that, he's for everybody. I'm going to represent everybody. And then, 2 weeks later, he'd say, all the MAGA people are trash. I mean, this is like you said, part of the demoralization. They pretend like, oh, we really love all of you all, and then they bash you the next sentence. It's all a big game to these people. All a big game.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just not serious. We look at America in two such different ways. You know what I mean? They just have really one platform, and that is Donald Trump is Orange Man. Orange Man is Hitler. That is, I swear, find me anything else they're really campaigning on. Donald Trump is Hitler.
And what does Trump stand for, basically, overall? And MAGA and conservatives, it's mostly just American ideals. They want to do away with the American ideals, bring in their new sort of fascist, globalist, Marxist, communist, socialist worldview into reality. And that's what's so frightening. That's why when Vance runs, because I think Vance might even be more aggressive than Trump as far as restoring America. I don't know that, but that's just kind of a hunch that I might have. And if that's the case, they'll hate him more than Trump. Trump was just the turning point. You know what I mean? And now that the tide is turned, it's going to be and only Trump probably could have done that. Only Trump probably could have faced that amount of sabotage. Now the road has been paved for a guy like J.D. Vance, who can then finish the job and restore America, restore American values, ideals, and freedom, and all the stuff that we love that is great about America.
Exactly. I mean, that's all we want, man. That's all the side of the aisle really wants, as far as I can tell, is just to make America great. Make us a great, great nation. Live up to our biggest potential. Rise all boats. Make everyone in this country wealthier and more successful. Build more houses. Build everything. Build out. Get bigger and better and, be self-reliant so that we're not worried about, what side of the bed China wakes up on when it comes to, time to get our computer chips or whatever it is. That's all it is, man. And yet the viciousness, the hatred towards that sort of a stance is kind of shocking, and then they come forward and say, well, we're socialists. We're democratic socialists like Mamdani and AOC. And, even AOC is way too moderate to be a democratic socialist. She doesn't even, I think, really grasp how wildly violent and aggressive that organization really, truly is. The Democratic Socialist Party is not joking around, folks. If they get control, watch out. They're going to tear it all down, I mean, Mamdani in his grocery store, you got what, 70 million to build one grocery store in one borough, in Harlem. How many people is that going to feed? You got 5 boroughs, bro. What's somebody in Staten Island going to do about groceries? What, go all the way up to Harlem and then take them on the bus all the way back down, or the subway, or whatever it is? It's ridiculous. One grocery store that's going to be over budget by a factor of about 50 to 1, right? Because they had to build the whole building for some reason. They felt the necessary to build the whole building rather than just going into a food desert, which Manhattan has, New York has food deserts, finding a grocery store that is out of business and bringing it back up to run. Invest $1 million in it. Get the top state of the art, refrigerators and all that. A really nice break room for the employees. Pay them all 30, 40, 50 bucks an hour, whatever you feel, and run it. Actually give it time to run. You can't do that though, because it will fail. It will be so far into the red that it'll be a joke. You'll never be able to control the employees, right? On and on and on. There's going to be no discipline there to hold that thing down. It's going to be a train wreck. And so that's why they don't want to do it until, 3 years from now? Because he knows it'll be a disaster. So he's going to reinvent the wheel and try to build a brand new building from scratch all the way up. And it'll take years to design the thing and all the paperwork that goes with it. It's a joke. It's just a joke. Folks, these people want to tear down the country. They don't want you to have free food or cheap food or whatever. They'll say they do. And if they can get you free food, they'll do it, but trust me, it won't be good. And don't get dependent on it. Once you get dependent on it, it only starts getting worse and worse and worse. And then before you know it, you're in Russia where you wait in lines for the bread instead of bread waiting in lines for you,
Right. Well, they like to dangle the carrot. You know what I'm saying? It's like Charles Barkley said, we always get this speech right around election time, how they're going to do all these great things for the black community and all these other communities and so forth. But then they never do anything. They just dangle the carrot, make promises they can never keep. And everybody's sick of it. That's why we, have so many black voters voting conservative now and so forth. So the whole thing is changing. People are waking up. People know what's happening. People get it. We're awakening at levels we've never seen before. There's a great awakening upon us. It's just a matter of, are we going to step into the great awakening, or are we going to step into Klaus Schwab's great reset? I hope it's the first one.
Yeah. Well, and the black and Hispanic communities are perfect examples of that. They've seen firsthand how many different, community centers in Chicago were turned into migrant housing. Right, where suddenly you just don't have a place for your kid to go play anymore. And then guess what? Gang violence is up now a couple years later. Great. Right? Because little Jimmy, who, used to love going down to the rec center every day, and now he's got nothing to do, so he hangs out in the corner, and now he's selling drugs. It's a simple situation to fix, and Trump has done it, folks. We don't have that happening anymore. Not in America, at least. In the UK, you guys are still getting it. You're going to be getting it for a long time. Spain, good luck to you. France, Germany, good luck. Poland, hey, man, you're rocking it. You're fine. Denmark, Sweden, they're reversing course as fast as they can. They just outlawed the term Islamophobia, I think, in Sweden recently. They're saying it's not a real word.
Okay, yeah.
Like fear of Islam is something. It's not just some phobia. It's a real thing. When you say you're afraid of it, it's you're afraid of it for a reason, not just some phobia, like a fear of a spider, which is also genuinely to some degree a real fear.
I think they want a world where no one criticizes, because in their mind, the tyranny that they're going to usher in is a utopia. It's certainly going to be a utopia for them because they'll own and control everything and we'll own nothing. But, what can I say?
Yeah. Yeah, no, the big, the royal families and whatnot, the Soroses of the world, they have their plans and they have their views of the world and they have their ways that they want to see things work out. But folks, it's not for us. It's not for the average American out there. We don't want it. No, put it back. We're not going to become vegetarians overnight because Bill Gates is afraid of cow farts. Sorry. We love our meat, man. We love our barbecue. We love our steaks. We love it. We don't just like it. We love that stuff. A good juicy burger is about one of the greatest things on earth, right?
But make no bones about it. They don't want us eating real meat, and they're going to do their best to get that fake lab-grown meat in your supermarkets and in your grocery stores. I mean, your restaurants. You're probably eating some at the restaurant if you're eating out a lot already. The chicken, the artificial chicken, you're probably eating it.
Yeah. Anyway, on that note, let's go to break. Folks, this is the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. We'll be right back after these messages.
All right. Good first hour.
Yeah, good hour.
I gotta have a question for you, a couple of questions for you, Mark, because
Me?
Was watching back, the show the other day, and I'm trying to figure out like what it is you're doing, okay? Because like you're going to the keyboard and typing a lot. Are you interacting with people, interacting with us? What's going on there? I'm so curious.
I'm also checking to make sure that we maintain connection with all the platforms.
Okay. Well, I mean, are people making comments on things we're saying?
Yeah.
And then you jump in there and say something back, and because that's what it looked like.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Okay, cool. All right. I was trying to figure it out.
Sometimes when I get some people that ask questions in that, I'll bring them to you guys.
Okay. So is that happening quite a bit? Because I think if it is, that's a good thing. We definitely want people, asking questions and commenting, really. I think that's a healthy thing.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good. Like we got John Allen down in Australia. He's been with us over on Facebook and YouTube, and we get people in and out of Kick all night long. So, but Kick is more of a folks come in there more to see gaming and
right,
things like that. So when we do get bigger numbers in there, it's that's a good thing.
Okay.
Yep. And even though I use Beam, not all of the chats will go into Beam. Rumble is one of them that doesn't cross over. Facebook doesn't cross over. And you can type in Beam, but if you type in Beam, folks over on the other platforms won't see it. So I can see it from there, but I'll have to bounce back over to that platform to respond to them directly. Yep.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. But it's still nice,
Yeah.
that we have that.
I can't imagine us not triggering people in both good ways and bad ways.
It depends, We are kind of an early crew that comes in, and as I go along, usually I get more build up before the night's over with. A lot of it has to do with, there's still people from in college and schools and that, and different time zones that don't catch us until later.
Come on up, Lou. Come on.
Yeah, I noticed one of our shows on YouTube, since we started posting on YouTube, that CS and I got about 35 times more than what we had been getting. So I was like, somebody was watching that particular show for some reason.
And Josh Who is back on YouTube, just to let you know. And we'll be right back with more Censorship Sucks. And I just let that one run out so that we can start the next one. So. Hey, John. Welcome back. Yeah, Barry's still over on the other one, I think, so.
The other one's gone.
Yeah, but he's still There. Yeah, I'm still trying to call him. He was red like he didn't hang up yet.
Yeah, I see him on YouTube right now. There you go.
Democrats are always trying to accuse Republicans.
What does the 15th Amendment say about discriminating based on race, and in particular drawing congressional lines? And it was President Lincoln, the first Republican. Beans are in a bottle?
The Democrats.
I want to ask you who we is. And in particular, quote, we had poll taxes, we had literacy tests, we even...
Nobody can deny that that was going on. And as far as I'm concerned...
Oh, Maxine.
Democrats are always trying to accuse Republicans. The like, share, comment, subscribe.
...invested in our country, and it may play...
Okay.
Yep, that's going to play good.
Good. I just want to cue it up to the right spot. I watched that Phil Hendry documentary.
No, which
good.
one? Which one?
It's just Phil Hendry documentary, really.
What's it about?
You don't know Phil Hendry?
No, remember we started that talk with Doc.
Yeah, but I figured...
So Barry wasn't here
Barry
for
would
that.
know who he is. I know, but I figured Barry would know who he is.
Well, who is he?
He's a talk show host.
Oh, okay. Is he like what? Comedian?
He can
what?
be. Yeah, depending on what he's doing at the time.
Yeah, he's definitely a comedian. I would 100% put him in comedy. He does voices and he interviews himself, and then he gets callers to call in and.
Himself.
I know. Are you talking about the guy with the red hair?
Not really.
Okay.
Hey, Mike. I mean, maybe he has red hair, but it's more like brown
or whatever.
Doesn't have a lot of hair.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. That guy. I just didn't know his name. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a real big Trump fan right now, though.
No, I don't think he ever has been.
He's kind of, I don't want to say he's joined the woke right, but he's kind of leaning towards that way. A lot of people are, believe it or not. I'm not too happy about it. I think that they're being way too premature on that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we got arrests coming, and I keep hearing from a lot of powerful people, you know, in the news and elsewhere that there's sealed indictments and more indictments are coming. So, man, let's see what happens, dude. I mean, I think it's just getting started.
Yeah.
They're bailing right as it's getting started. At least give Trump a shot. Just because you don't like the war, you know what I'm saying, doesn't mean you dismiss everything else and go, oh, it's over. He's the worst ever. I hate that, dude. It's just, and maybe at some point in time, if things go completely sour, I'll join them, but it's going to take a lot more than where we're at now. I like Trump overall.
You drinking all your water, Blue? You good girl?
Not to mention, man, it would be awful depressing to be in that mindset, don't you think? I mean, especially since it is premature and essentially since they're not really basing it in reality and evidence. I mean, think about how dark of a place those people are at. Every day, you know, every day it's Alex Jones talking smack about Trump. Every day it's Owen Schroyer talking smack. Every day it's Nick Fuentes talking smack about Trump. When we've got globalists and all these evil people literally trying to take us over.
Yeah, I mean, the people talking smack are just kind of Trump derangement syndrome. You know, it's a real disease.
It's woke right TDS, and that's exactly right. You're right.
30 seconds, guys.
I don't get it, man, because they're hurting us. I mean, they're basically enabling the Democrats, I think. And a lot of them are going on the Democrat shows and the Democrat podcasts to join in the Trump bashing. They're going on The View. They're going. You know what I'm saying? It's weird.
It's a disease, man. Once it gets in there, it's so. How do you call it? In other words, once you start talking like that, then everyone around you will invite you onto The View and be like, "Yeah, you're right."
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live and on the radio side right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Round Table Radio Show, Wednesday night edition for May 2026. And boy, we got all kinds of stuff going on. There was an interaction between Miss Hirono, the Democrat congresswoman from Hawaii, and Ted Cruz. I'd like to play a little bit of this. It's kind of long, but I'd like to play some of it because I think it really identifies and hits the nail on the head some of the things we were talking about in the first hour as far as why are people freaking out right now. They're freaking out on the left. They think it's Jim Crow era 2.0 and, just evil Hitler is about to come down on them from on high and put them all in concentration camps. So let's play a little bit of this. This is from C-SPAN.
In many places, people would argue that it still does. And so we had all kinds of ways to keep black people from voting. We had poll taxes. We had literacy tests. We had, I think some places even required them to count how many jelly beans were in a jar. All kinds of ways to keep black people from voting. This happened. I don't think anybody can deny that that was going on. And as far as I'm concerned, there is a pattern now of voter suppression going on in our country right now.
Just a moment ago, our colleague Senator Hirono said there's a lot more to say, and indeed she's right. And in fact, I want to go back to her comment. She began by saying we have a long history of racial discrimination in this country. That's undoubtedly correct. And then she said, quote, we had poll taxes, we had literacy tests, we even had tests of how many jelly beans are in a jar. Mr. Chamberlain, when Senator Hirono says we had poll taxes, I want to ask you who we is, and in particular, what party was it that implemented poll taxes in the South?
I mean, I don't want to necessarily speak in every single case, but I'm pretty confident it was mostly the Democrats.
And what party was it that put literacy tests in place in the South?
Same answer, mostly the Democrats.
And what party was it that had tests like how many jelly beans are in a bottle?
The Democrats.
Tell me, what party were the founders of the Ku Klux Klan from?
I'm pretty sure that was the Democrats.
Indeed. In fact, Nathan Bedford Forrest, the founder of the Klan, was a delegate to the 1860 Democrat National Convention. What party wrote the Jim Crow laws in the South?
The Democrats.
And so on this side of the aisle were members of the Republican Party. Who was the first Republican president?
Abraham Lincoln.
The Republican Party was literally founded to oppose slavery. We came into existence because slavery was a grotesque evil, and it was President Lincoln, the first Republican president, who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, who won the Civil War, and that resulted in the freeing of the slaves and the passage of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. By the way, fast forward to the Civil Rights era. Bull Connor, one of the most noxiously racist politicians. What party was he from?
He was a Democrat.
The Democrats, for the entire history of their party, have been a party based on racial discrimination. They affirmatively embrace it. They support it. Let me ask you, Mr. Grime, is discriminating based on race consistent with the United States Constitution?
No.
What does the 14th Amendment say about discrimination based on race?
It's prohibited.
What does the 15th Amendment say about discriminating based on race, and in particular drawing congressional lines and explicitly discriminating based on race?
It's prohibited.
Now, the Democrats are fond of telling this story.
Leave it there. Well, actually, let's go on. He's going to talk about how the parties flip sides. Everybody switched sides, right? And, well, yeah, the Democrats did all those horrible things, but then they had an eye-opening, awakening moment, and everybody on both parties, the Republicans and Democrats, they all switched overnight. And suddenly, what happened was the Democratic Party figured out that they could control the black vote forever. And so they took the steps to do it. They initiated incentives to break up families. We saw black families during the Bull Connor days, have 80, 90% of their children in wedlock. Today, it's the exact opposite. It's like 10%, 15%. They embraced this idea of discriminating by race because they saw that they could take advantage of a minority group in this country. Everyone didn't just switch parties. The Democrats just switched strategies. The Republicans have steadfast been for equal rights for all people, all the way from Lincoln in the founding up to today, where again, we talk about congressional districts that are being mapped out by race, which is illegal. It's against, as he said, the 15th Amendment. Courts are seeing this and saying, yes, obviously they're voting 9-0 in favor of these, laws. But yet the left is freaking out, calling it the new Bull Connor era, which is one of their guys, the new age of, Jim Crow laws that they put into place. When really they're just seeing their power strip away. I don't know, Barry. What do you think?
I think you know what I think. I think that the Democrats have always been ugly. You know what I'm saying? Just ugly on the inside and ugly in their thinking. And, I did a piece on Charlemagne the God the other day. I hate even saying the God because it's like blasphemous, because I think it's actually capitalized too. So I guess he's considering himself to be like, like God the Creator, perhaps, because it's not like Charlemagne the God, little G-O-D. It's capital G-O-D, which that's how I would interpret that anyway. But he's a well-known racist black supremacist. He's part of the 5% Nation. Now he's not an actual member, but he studied it. And he is in line with their mission, and they are a black supremacist group. They believe that blacks were the first race on the planet and that they are superior. And of course, that makes you a racist when you think that your race is superior over another race. And I'm against all forms of racism. I'm against white supremacy. I'm against black supremacy. But these are the very people that are, talking about white supremacy, spreading the lie of white supremacy, right? And so they're projecting, they're gaslighting. This is a guy that obviously thinks he's better than white people, Charlemagne the God. And this is all confirmed. You can go look this stuff up yourself. He got the name Charlemagne the God from studying the 5% Nation. And he is in alignment with their mission. And to my knowledge, and according to AI's knowledge, he has never renounced that. So he's still, and he's keeping the name and the same framework. So he's clearly a racist black supremacist. And I condemn that, just like I condemn any racist white supremacist. I don't like any of it. And this is all, he's just basically a puppet and a tool of the Democrats and the globalists who are just trying to pit us all against each other. So when you see him interviewing somebody from the other side and it seems like it's going somewhat well, it's really not. It's not going as well. He doesn't like them. It's just frustrating, man, because we need to really get past that and just agree to disagree. Stop labeling people names, all the isms and the phobes, because it doesn't help any. All it does is diminish. It diminishes those words to where they mean absolutely nothing, so that when somebody says racism, they just ignore it altogether when it could be an actual real racist thing.
Yeah, isn't that a shame? The word has no meaning anymore, If you hear somebody's racist, you're like, all right, well, gosh, what does that even mean? Do I really have to go listen to this guy now to actually see if he's racist or not? Like who decides? It's ridiculous. There's just no meaning to words. And if you don't have meaning to your words, what are they? If a Nazi isn't a Nazi and it's just anybody who votes for the other politician, then that doesn't mean anything. And I don't know how they don't see this, how they don't respect language more so than they do. But I'm hearing there's you'd be shocked what they're doing to the English language in some parts of Canada nowadays. There's a Toronto version of English that's like amalgamation of 4 different languages with Arabic, other Middle Eastern and North African languages sprinkled in. And it's sort of the street jibe that if you get it, you get it, you're part of the team. And if you don't, then you're just immediately sort of looked over. You know what I mean? Like you're square. You're not. And it's just, yet another way. And I mean, I guess this is no different than like when Jive came out, right? What, during like Airplane, they made that joke about Jive talking, But it's more, gosh, it's more barbaric. It's more tribal. It's just an amalgamation of different languages that would really you don't want to see that in a country you've lived in your whole life. All of a sudden you can't understand, what the kids on the corner are saying, and they, look kind of scary anyway, and you have no clue what they're saying because they've got their own language. Like, what kind of world is this? We got to bring people together, not push them apart like that. I don't know how I even got on that.
There's just so much social engineering going on in so many different ways, and people are being programmed to think a certain way, to even act a certain way. I mean, you have a lot of people in the black music industry that have come forward and said that, they'll be rewarded more and paid more if they talk about, I don't know if I can use these words, so I won't use the words, but, calling women certain names, talking about violence, maybe killing and shooting police, and demoralizing and demeaning towards women. You know how, like what happened when Jay-Z performed for Hillary, all that just degrading lyrics that he was doing, and they're supposed to be the opposite of that, and yet here he is up there, literally spouting those offensive lyrics, and they like he gets a free pass to do it. No conservative artist would dare go there. Not even close, not even remotely. So there's all this social engineering going on, and the black community is one of the most highly targeted communities. They were targeted for abortion early on with Planned Parenthood. They looked at black people as inferior. Like he was saying, the Democrats, these are Democrat people, not conservatives. We came and we were the ones that were appalled by all that. And we still are to this day. And that's why they project their weakness onto us. It's a Sal Alinsky thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's why they gaslight. And just let me ask you a question. How many times have we debunked and exposed them to their face, and yet it doesn't register with them? I mean, maybe it does, but they just go right back into their projection and their gaslighting and their lies. So I don't even know that we can reach these people because they're in some sort of brainwashed state of mind that they're unreachable.
Yeah. Well, I think they're just unreachable from a perspective of, you pick up your phone and we're all creatures of habits and we go get our news from where we get our news. And, there's not a lot of intermixing that a lot of people get. I try to do my best to see both sides of the stories, but, I'm guilty of it. CNN isn't my first place I go to because I think it's garbage. I gave up reading a lot of different publications a long time ago because they just disappointed me. And I was like, this is a waste of time, So yeah, you get on your phone, you get into your bubble, you see what you see, you got your followers on TikTok, and you get, their feeds and what they're up to, and it's that echo chamber we always talk about, they're just never really, what I just played with Ted Cruz and Hirono, they will never see that, And at the end, she came back and gave him like a 30-second lecture about how she knows history and she doesn't need to be lectured on history from the likes of Ted Cruz, right? And that's the one that'll get the clips. That's the one that'll get cut out. That last 30 seconds of her saying that will get up there and it'll get all the traction, and everyone will say, look, she owned Ted Cruz today. When in actuality, I didn't even play all of it. He destroyed everything about her argument.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree. He destroyed her bogus argument. If anything, they're the ones trying to bring back Jim Crow. Remember, under the Biden administration, they were literally having at college universities, segregated orientations, segregated graduations. I mean, that's Jim Crow. They were bringing it back out. So again, it's projection, deflection, and gaslighting and lies.
incredible. In France, they're calling for female-only subway cars.
Yeah.
Like they have in the Middle East.
Insane.
It's amazing that France has gotten to such a point that they're so afraid to have their own, to be able to intermingle with the men there, that the women are demanding their own subway cars so they're not getting groped. Right? How incredibly far as a society do you have to fall to get to that point and not recognize that there's a problem here and not say, hey, wait a minute, maybe, these people in Restore are actually, have something. They're not just lunatics like we always said. Like, this AFD party, have you really listened to them? They're making sense to me. I mean, I can't ride the subway anymore. You see subway, photos. A lot of women there, a vast majority of them, if you've got a T-shirt on or whatever, you will put a sweater on to go down into the subway. And it's not because it's cold. It's because it's sketchy down there. And if you walk around in your T-shirt and people can see, a little bit too much, you can get groped. That's an invitation for men to walk up to you and start grabbing you and harassing you, in France today.
If you want to know how evil these people are, just look at the resistance to sanity. Look at the sheer resistance towards sanity, common sense, practicality, things that are practical, that we know, that are tried and true, that work, and we avoid that. Look at the fact that when they do offer solutions, they're pseudo solutions, and they may fix one problem, but they set into course 6 new problems that are worse than the one problem. And that's intentional and by design as well. And they have to dumb the population down, a great deal in order to deceive us to that extent, which is really, why I tell people, man, you need to really be healthy if at all possible. Exercise, eat healthy, detox, have a spiritual life, practice charity, do things and stimulate your mind and do things and don't just sit there in front of the TV and be dumbed down even more by their programming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. You talk about how the government will have good intentions and then, screw up 6 other things. And we got to talk about the $45 billion that Gavin Newsom has spent on homeless people in California to end homelessness. The kind of money we're talking about, folks, we could have bought every single one of them a home of some kind, I mean, I'm not talking maybe anywhere in LA. Maybe, you got to go out to the desert on the edge of the county. But sure, they could put up mass housing. They could do all kinds of things to get these people some sort of help, to get them a job, to get them fixes. But what they do is they go out instead and they say, hey, guess what? We got all this money. We bought you guys needles and, condoms, and we bought you all kinds of stuff that you can use to get high. So there you go, man. You didn't fix anything.
Right.
You just helped them get high. You just helped them get more and more addicted. Ridiculous stuff like that, where there's just no ever anything that looks like a solution, but a lot of money thrown at things to just keep it all going.
Yeah. Well, I just saw a homeless guy from Sacramento that was being interviewed by, I guess, just a citizen journalist. And he was saying that he's homeless by choice because they pay him. And they give him about almost $700 a month, give him free, SNAP for food. And he said, why would I do anything but stay here because they're paying me? But he's like, oh yeah, and I got my free phone, and I can watch Netflix movies and just, veg out and do absolutely nothing, which is kind of sad because he's obviously lost his drive for life. That's not living, that's actually dying. So that's another thing. They're feeding them their death sentence. First their mental and spiritual death, and then eventually their physical death.
Yeah, exactly. It's a slow burn. And again, you look at it and you say you want to go out and, work your butt off at some, remedial job to make minimum wage. And at the end of the day, you make, just a tad bit more than you would if you did nothing. Right. So you get those options, and it's like, yeah, gosh, I took a job for a month, and my God, it paid nothing. Why would I keep going? I can just, live off 2/3 of what I was making there and not work at all. So anyway, on that note, let's go to break.
Didn't have any bills. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to break. This is the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. We'll be right back after these messages.
Almost got you there, Barry.
I snuck it in, man. I was going to be quick.
Yeah.
I've gotten better. I don't get long-winded. I just want to throw that last thing in, just pop.
Bap.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, man. It's all very interesting, man. I'm actually being stimulated by our conversation tonight.
Look out.
Easy now, fella. Easy.
I might have to go back and listen to it. See if I can learn something. Yeah, we're bringing up
and
some
don't forget to hit that like button and share, too. All right?
Oh, yeah. I'll do that for sure. I mean, these are the issues, and we live in a crazy, kind of weird world, man. It's that's why I always got to have my time to escape from it all, man. And I get why CS is, doing the nomad thing, dude. It makes a lot of sense for your health, for your mental disposition. You can get out there and just smell the nature, and
not that it's without its challenges, but hey.
Exactly. But there is something about nature.
If I was a single guy and I didn't have, kids and things like that, I would probably have considered doing something similar.
Yeah. Well, think about how the majority of Americans are programmed to congregate into the cities. When I was growing up, everybody was trying to get out the city to, like to Nottingham and to the country club and all these different places that were on the outskirts, where it was out away from the city, kind of out in nature and in the woods. And now everybody just want to congregate. And then they want to create 15-minute cities to make it even worse so we can all be controlled and cold even more so. I think eventually they'll outlaw living outside of their purview, right?
Well, that's getting to the point of, you ever watch that movie or show called Logan's Run?
Yeah, that's back in the day with Farrah Fawcett and a bunch of other people.
I'm not sure if Farrah was in that, but yeah.
Maybe not Farrah Fawcett. Maybe she was. Yeah, I think she was.
I think so, yeah. There was some super hottie. If it wasn't her, it was like Cheryl Teagues or something.
Cheryl, yeah, I think Cheryl might have been in there or something like that, but I don't remember.
That British actor was in there. He's still alive. He's got some disease, but he's coping quite well with it. Can't think of his name. He's a good guy. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, Wobbly says Soylent Green is people. Of course it is.
Yep.
Isn't that a different movie?
Yeah.
That's Charlton Heston. And yeah, I watched that not too long ago again. And I was like, wow. The thing that really tripped me out was how when they bring you to your death, they put you in this room where you get to look at the big screen scenic TV, and it's exactly like euthanasia today. Like they're painting it. It's like it's this beautiful thing to send you off to the next life.
Yeah, I think Wobbly was in that movie Clockwork Orange too. That was a really good movie.
That's hardcore.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't know if I could tolerate it right now. It's almost probably too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got about 30 seconds. We'll be back on air.
Though, it was made in the 60s, so it's like they don't really show a lot of stuff. You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, they do. They just insinuate and
Who was the guy that was in Clockwork Orange? Man, he always plays that great bad guy. I can't think of what his name is now. But anyways, here's your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you're live and back on the radio side for the last segment right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. And we got all kinds of stuff going on in the world. I guess let's talk about this tragic shooting the other day in San Diego at the Islamic Center there. 2 dudes live streamed this as they killed several people, and then they eventually made it outside and did the whole murder-suicide thing. And left behind quite a note. In essence, they hate religion. They hate both parties. They hate all minorities. They were targeting, or they were doing it as an homage to the Christchurch shooting. Wanted to be just like that, sort of their hero. And they were nut jobs, white supremacists, hated both parties, anarchists, death to the world, on and on, and just really, horrible people. And so everyone wants to jump in here and make this political. One of the guys had really long hair, and is he trans? No, doesn't look like it. They just seem, like just horrified, horrible people that got caught up in the wrong chat rooms and decided to do something that is very, it's very ugly to do something like that. There's going to be retaliations and whatnot, and it just divides the country even more, Barry. It really does. It just divides everybody, and they all want to make this political, and I don't think it is. But I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? What do you think?
I think they're victims of social engineering, just like I was talking about. It's sort of the Klaus Schwab utopia of an angrier world, and they want to create an angrier world, and they do that by basically injecting hate, injecting and inciting violence. They don't ever really condemn the violence unless it's from the right. It's all designed to be knee-jerk and inflammatory on purpose and by design. And that is the terrifying and horrifying thing. So, if I can get that message out, I feel like that's a big accomplishment, because once we're aware of the tactics, then we can stop falling prey to it, because, we kind of hit this area of what they call critical mass, and that's when you get the turning point. But clearly, a lot of people are just victims of the social engineering. That didn't just birth out of nowhere, right? That's deviant and nefarious social engineering by design, on purpose, to create more chaos, because, as I've said before, the nefarious powers work best out of the chaos. They need the chaos to bring forth the pseudo solutions that will solve one problem but create 20 new ones. And then eventually, before you know it, we're all under the grid of control, and we're living under full-blown tyranny, a police state, martial law, you name it.
Yep. And that's why we got to stay strong, man. We can't be demoralized. That's the thing about the whole plan as Yuri Bezmenov, laid it out so many decades ago. That the first, you got to demoralize a nation first. You got to break down their religion, their culture, replace street names with, meaningless things. Take their art and replace it with ugly modern art that has no meaning to it, has no beauty, no sense of effort to it, Put just a square in there, on its side. Okay, it's a square. It's tilted up a little bit. It's not anything that you couldn't make if somebody said, hey, build me this in the park here. And you'd say, okay, I'm going to need some wood and some paint, and yeah, I'll have that done for you in a couple days. Replace the beauty of society with nothingness and break the will of the people. Like we were talking about earlier, they will put out news articles and things and PSAs, and it's garbage. What they're saying to you is a lie. They know it's a lie. We all know it's a lie. Why do they do it? They do it to demoralize you, to make you think there's no hope, so that then you just give up, you give in, and they can then come in and create a crisis, which turns into an opportunity for them to rebuild. Then the rebuilding takes another several years after the crisis. But it's kind of where we are. They're ready to pull the trigger on that crisis anytime they can. They thought maybe COVID would be it, but it wasn't. And they thought maybe a million other things. Now, if they can get this swine flu or whatever it is to take off, then, there you go. They got their new crisis to take down America and put us all, in such bankruptcy that we all just beg for a solution where we can get in line to get bread, because at least there's bread involved in that one. Barry?
Yeah, I mean, CS, you talk a lot about, making ugly architecture and ugly art, and I think it's 100% true. I mean, nothing's built like the cathedrals they used to make in all the different government buildings that they used to build, and just the different architecture in the cities that they would build. Nothing looks that marvelous anymore. And I can't help but to think of Obama's presidential library, man, because that thing looks like a panopticon prison, okay? And I can guarantee you, this is like the perfect example, okay? I mean, I would expect nothing less from Obama than to have his presidential library look like a panopticon prison complex. But I guarantee you, when Trump builds his, it's going to be the most marvelous and magnificent thing you're going to see. It's going to compete with the ballroom when it's finally finished.
Dude, I saw the renderings of that they put out a few weeks, Barry. Did you catch those? They were stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning. It's a high-rise building that rivals any high-rise building in the world because it's a museum. It's like hollow. The whole inside of it is hollow. When you walk in the door, there's a 747 sitting right in the middle and a couple jets and whatever else. And it just towers up like, 30, 40 stories. But the whole inside of it, you just see right through it. It's a building that wasn't built for any form per se, like for any function. I mean, it was more for the form. It didn't have to stuff a bunch of condos in there or office space to break even. You know what I mean? It's a building that will really never make money. It's just there to be gorgeous. And if it gets built in the rendering that I saw, it'll blow people's minds when that thing finally comes out. I mean, It's almost like a must-see kind of place. And it right on the water, what is it, in Miami or in one of the neighboring cities, but gorgeous. I mean, gorgeous. Look it up, folks. Go look up the renderings for the Trump Presidential Library. They just put them out a couple weeks ago. Eric Trump had it on his timeline.
Yeah. And the left is going to hate it. The globalists are going to hate it because it's beautiful. It's a reflection of our capability, our capacity, and it doesn't look like, this boring, dead-looking prison complex like Obama's presidential library. Mark my words, man, they hate beauty. Look, this is why you have paintings selling for $50,000 and $100,000 of enema paintings. Okay, they paint in their anus and they blow it out on a canvas and they get $50,000 for it, right? Or just the fashion industry today. I mean, the stuff that they're doing, it's beyond ridiculous, man. Nobody in their right mind would be caught in the clothing that they're putting out in the LA type of fashion shows and New York City fashion shows. It's outrageous, man, because they hate beauty. They love the ugliness. They love the depravity. They love darkness, dude. I mean, this is a battle between good and evil at the end of the day. It's a battle between the light and darkness. And until people understand that, they can't even cope with it, and they're not going to be able to combat against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm reminded in the fashion industry how sometimes they just do incredibly insane things. Tom Brady was out on the catwalk the other day. I just saw a photo of him out there. He looked like he was actually doing something good. He might start making some of that gazelle money, right?
Some black looking, I don't know, vinyl looking thing. It was
like a leather jacket or something.
I don't think I'd be caught in it, but it's definitely not. I mean, it's like 1/10,000th better than what they're doing at most of these fashion shows. I mean, I saw one woman, she was like it was a dress, but it was like an iron cage. How do you even walk in that thing, man? It's just bizarre.
Yeah, yeah. Tom Brady, interesting fact on him. When he was at the peak of his career, I think he made like half of what his wife did, or maybe even 10% of what his wife did.
Wow.
As a supermodel. That's got to be.
I think there's maybe 10 or 12 that are at that level, probably. There's not many of them that make that kind of money. You got to be like top of the top. You got to be top tier in the modeling industry, because a lot of the models, they don't get paid a lot. They live in the same home together. There's been documentaries on this, and many times they're being like trafficked or they're being sexually abused. It's a nightmare. And I would imagine that maybe some of these top tier ones went through that to get to the top. I don't know, because I haven't heard them say one way or the other, but it would certainly make sense.
Yeah, you'd think it wouldn't be anything they'd talk about, while they're making the $50 million a year. You know what I mean? It'd be something they'd run the expo on later on down the road. Or got into like a Melania Trump position where if she did have something to say about it right now, there's nothing stopping her in the world,
Right.
She was ever part of anything like that or knew about it, she would be like, yeah, be better. Be better, folks. Be better. So let's see. Anyway, in other news, we've got a wildfire cooking through Simi Valley in California. This thing's getting up to a couple thousand acres. I put it in my feed the other day, and I just pulled up an update on it. I was wondering if we should even talk about it on the show, but it's still going. 15% contained, and it's near a lot of very high-end residential areas. It could easily kick up the hills over into Malibu if the winds change, or, who knows, move back through the valley the other way, and gosh, ugly stuff. But needless to say, the reservoirs are still probably empty, Needless to say, the fire department of Los Angeles is nowhere near as big as it was when the Palisades fire happened. And on and on and on. So again, this is the Valley. It's not necessarily LA City, but it's the same thing happening again and again and again and again. And it's just really a matter of time until another big block of Los Angeles catches on fire. And if they don't figure something out there, they're going to be in big trouble. My God, if an actual earthquake hit there, could you imagine what that city would do?
I mean, not whatsoever. I mean, I think the only thing that might save it, and again, I don't know for certain, but I have a hunch that maybe Spencer Pratt might do a good job and might sort of set things straight. But can he win, even if he's winning by 80%? Because you know how they are. They steal elections over there. They'll make sure he does not win. And, it's just, like I've said before, unfortunately, when they won't fix the huge mistakes that they make. And they make a lot of huge mistakes. I'm not talking minor things like putting your hand in the cookie jar. I'm talking big, big mistakes, and they don't correct them. It only gets worse, and then they only get further exposed. But if they continue to steal elections, they can still stay in power. And what might have to happen, as I've said so many times before, because the only way to really wake up a large swath of the population is just to see the whole thing collapse. And I hope that doesn't have to happen, because, I mean, a lot of people are going to suffer in the process of that. But it may happen. Same thing in New York City. It may have to completely collapse before it can rise again.
Yeah, sadly. And even a Pratt, if this guy does win, and his odds don't look great right now, it's probably 30%, 25% chance that he'll actually win. But if he does, is the system so entrenched that he can't even fix it? Like, I know with the school district, I could guarantee it's just so entrenched you can't fix anything. If you want to change anything in the school district, you're done. But is the fire department, the police department, are they more nimble? Can you actually go in and fix them? Can you go up into the hills and say, forget like just making sure these things are full. Why aren't they 10 times bigger? The water reservoirs up there. Why don't we have 50 of them instead of 5? Let's actually take this seriously after what happened to the Pacific Palisades and Altadena. Let's issue the permits, folks. Let's get those people working. I figured by this time there would be the biggest construction boom in the history of the world happening right now in Los Angeles, to get all those homes built again. But there's no jobs. I mean, that's not what's going on. Nobody's building out there. What have we seen? Like 5 permits go up so far?
There's no free money for the elite, though. If things get fixed and things are working well, do you know what I mean? Because we have a fiat currency and that federal money, not so much under Trump, but under a Democrat president, that just keeps getting funneled in. And of course, they got the California tax money as well, and they can just distribute that to all their little crony buddies. And if you start fixing things, there's no, you can't be taking money for programs that they claim are going to fix things. It's all a scam. It's all a sham. And people know that, man. People understand that now. I mean, I think even Democrats are going to vote for Spencer, even if they hate everything he stands for, because they just don't want California to continue to be run like it's being run.
It can't go on forever, man. That's just the simple fact about it. This can't go on forever. It's got to come to an end, and it's got to come to a crashing halt here. You'd think at some time soon. I mean, God, everything is so overpriced, so expensive. It's just the lifestyle you can get in Texas compared to California is incredibly higher. For a couple $1,000,000 in a suburb of Houston, you're buying a really nice house. It might even get the mansion label. You know what I mean? Whereas $2 million somewhere in LA, down in the basin there around the city, that's getting you a pretty, scrappy little like 2-bedroom house in a nasty neighborhood. That's, small house, small everything, a lot of crime, but it's still $2 million. You know what I'm saying? LA is so expensive when it comes to real estate. It's shocking. You look at like $4 million homes, or you look at some of the homes major celebrities live in, and they're like, an average suburb of like Detroit or something. It's just not any special kind of house at all. And yet it's a multi-million-dollar mansion that, has gated communities in the whole 9 yards. It's 3,000 square feet. It's not small, but it's not like a massive sprawling mansion by any means, So, yeah, there's a lot of money there, and people can really just do so much better if they pick it up and take it to almost anywhere in the country. And they're hearing about it in Nashville, and they're hearing about it in Florida. And really, what do you want your life to be, man? California is so beautiful. It's such a phenomenal place. But their government, man, until they fix it, it's just not going to be worth living in. I don't know. That's my opinion. I've had many opportunities to move to California, and I've passed on all of them.
Well, you think there's got to be some kind of a threshold, where things just get so bad, people can't take it anymore. But I think they allow enough things to flow normally that never happens. Maybe they've got their finger on that pulse so that it doesn't, they don't get resistance and people start voting against them, And again, they're probably already voting against them, but because of the fraud, in my opinion, they're not, the Republicans are not winning by big enough margins, right? Mm-hmm. Because, it can't be too lopsided.
Yeah, it's going to happen though, man. This is all going to start coming back. We talk about the pendulum going back and forth, and it's going to swing quite a good ways this time, I think. I really do. I'm optimistic that there's nobody that's going to be able to step up against a J.D. Vance with his team and be able to really put together a cohesive argument against their policies. A debate with, Kamala Harris versus J.D. Vance is just more Trump deranged syndrome. You know what I mean? It's not going to have any substance from their side at all. He will eat her for lunch. It's not even fair, And so looking forward to that, I don't know, man. I really am optimistic about the future of this country over the next so many years, over the next 10 years or so. I really think we're just not going to go down that road again anytime soon, regardless of what the 5% on the left that scream bloody murder at every point in their life have to say about it. Scream all you want, ladies. Scream, scream, scream. It's not going to change anybody's opinion that what you're doing is wrong. It sucks. Transitioning kids, before they're even 10 years old, behind their parents' backs. That's just a losing proposition. Abortion up to the moment of birth, losing. Nobody wants that. That's an 80-20 issue. We always talk about the 80-20 issues. Nobody's on that side except for you guys, And even Hakeem Jeffries, the clip we played earlier, where he says, we're going to demoralize every Trump, 77 million people. We're going to demoralize them, break them down when we win. That's a direct threat to half the country. Is it anything new? Joe Biden did the same damn thing when he went up in front of Independence Hall and gave his red wedding speech. He called MAGA hateful at every point and just evil, and went on for an hour and a half about how evil the left was.
Yeah. Imagine how not well they're going to cope when we win the 2026 midterms, and then J.D. Vance wins the presidency in 2028. We have the House and this, excuse me, and the Senate predominantly. If they're not going to cope, I mean, think about how poorly they're coping now. They're coping in ways where, they're like, if we get the power back, we're coming after you. We're going to arrest all of you MAGA people. We're going to stack the Supreme Court. We're going to take over and be the tyrants that we've always, shown that we are. Yeah. So they're desperate. They're desperate. But imagine when we win in the midterms and then we win in 2028, these people, man, the mental asylums are going to start getting filled up because they're going to have massive meltdowns. They're melting down now. Imagine the meltdowns when we continue to win. And look, every time I get a little discouraged about things moving slowly, I just think about what it would be like under the power of Democrats and these nefarious globalists who control the Democrat Party entirely, what that world would look like. And I say, okay, I think I'll keep fighting. I have a friend of mine. He said, hey, man, I don't want to hear any of that stuff that you're saying. That's stuff I can't do anything about. And I think he's wrong. I think we can do. And the very fact that we're at the place we're at right now and all the progress that we've made up to this point is proof that actually we can make a difference. That's just somebody that's a cop-out, man. That's all that is. When my friend says, I don't want to hear about that because I can do nothing about that, that's a cop-out. That's all that is. And look, all you have to do is a little bit. That's what James O'Keefe said to people when I think that was his slogan under Project Veritas, just do something. And you don't have to be as vocal as I am, as engaged as I am, but certainly you can speak up for the truth every now and then.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, another big thing that's going to be happening by 2028 is the visible decay of New York City. You know what I mean? The real visible, you go there and you say, holy cow. I only go there once every couple of years. And it was a little bit worse the last couple times. And now, holy crap, this town is really going under. Or the people from New York that they got a relative down in Florida. And so they say, okay, let's go visit them for Christmas this year. And they go down and look around and say, holy cow, this is wonderful down here. I had no idea it was this nice. You should see what, Brooklyn looks like nowadays, And so there's going to be a lot of in-your-face lived realities that'll come to be seen by people at that point to say that, hey, there's a giant difference between these crazy socialist Democrat policies and where it takes a city like Chicago or LA or San Francisco, God forbid, versus what is happening as this miracle down in Florida and Texas. Florida, you got Citadel down there with their $6 billion or $1 trillion empire moving to Florida, lock, stock, and barrel to invest like crazy all over the place. It's going to be a massive difference. It really is.
I mean, that dichotomy that we're talking about is definitely forming. It's definitely widening. It's definitely getting more predominant. And I think people see it. And a lot of people that didn't see it now see it. So in a way, I mean, it's terrible to see these cities collapse, but it's also good in that it will awaken people. You know what I'm saying? They'll go like, well, I don't think the Democrat movement is a very good choice to move America forward.
Yeah, this socialism thing. Let me look into it. Hey Siri, when has socialism ever worked? Oh, yikes! I didn't think I'd get that answer. Never. It's never worked. Wait a minute. I was told this is the dream come true. These democratic socialists. Well, democratic socialism's never failed because it's never been tried. We just got to try it. Put all your money in a hat, buddy. We'll see you next week when you get hungry.
There's nothing about America that's socialism. That's not in our Constitution at all.
No. And they say Social Security and things like that, but they're there's safety nets we put in place so that we can be civil to each other and make sure that, in our old age we are taken care of and things along those lines. They call it socialism, but it's just a social network. It's safety net.
Right.
That it's not socialism. Socialism is when the government owns the means of production, right? And so, on that note, folks, we're out of time. This is the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio.
Thank you for listening to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. If you missed any of tonight's show, you can find it and others in our archives. Thanks again, and you can catch us next week for another brand new show.